Friends, welcome to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. I'm completely exhausted. The 2 long weeks on the road associated with the launch of a new international office in London, combined with excessive travel, exhausted me, but the worst part was being away from my girls, and the 16-hour drive home was a living hell, even in first grade. I hated being away from my girls and my beautiful wife. I always do this, but the lifestyle I've created for my family means that work can be difficult. Due to the high demand, my energy company has grown and spread to 12 countries. 5 years ago, I bought out the share of Roger, my partner. These 5 years have been difficult, but at the same time useful. But I am finally ready to sit back and enjoy success, as I have hired a new president to lead the operation, while I remain CEO and owner. I plan to tell the girls the good news as soon as I get home. I'm excited because I'll have more time with my family and friends, and I'll be able to get back to a normal life. Don't get me wrong. I love how my company has grown, but deep down my goal has always been to spend most of my time watching my girls grow up and spend more time with my wife. I feel happy that I finally got the opportunity to step back and enjoy the fruits of my labor at the age of 45. Over the years, country club membership, the new Lamborghini SUV that Zoe wanted, the private girls' school, the new 900 square meter house that Zoe talked me into, along with all the extras, were expensive, but worth every penny when I saw their smiling faces and felt their warm embrace. My life may have been stressful, but it has always been full of love and warmth. I wouldn't change anything, and now I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life with my family. 30 minutes from home, while my driver maneuvered through traffic jams, I sat in the back seat of the limo, relaxing and enjoying a second glass of bourbon, which I poured from the sidebar after we left the airport. As we drove down the circular driveway, the house seemed quiet, but I knew from experience that in a few minutes the girls would jump on their daddy, and their mom would greet me with a warm kiss and the promise of a wonderful night with her in my arms. To my horror, I entered an empty house. The only sound was the driver putting my bags in the lobby. I called out to them. There was no response. It was weird. The girls were always at home when I returned from a trip. I was hoping everything was okay. Then I saw an envelope with my name written in her wonderful handwriting. To Jonathan from his loving wife Zoe. After the driver left, I took my bags to the room, took off my suit and put on comfortable sweatpants, and then headed to the bar for a new glass of rare 10-year-old Eagle Malt bourbon. Anticipating a love message from my wife, I settled into my favorite armchair and took a long sip of the expensive elixir, enjoying the burning sensation before opening the envelope. Jonathan, my love, what an amazing journey we have made as husband and wife. I have treasured every minute of the last 16 years and look forward to the next 50 that I will spend together as your loving wife. Darling, you know that I love you so much, and you are the whole world to me. You are my whole life, and I can't live without you. The love you give me is all I want, and I long to be in your arms every day. I've missed you so much over the last 2 weeks, and I can't wait to see you later tonight. These words warmed my heart even more than bourbon warmed my stomach. I'm lucky to have her as my wife. Have I told you recently that your sweet, gentle lovemaking makes me shiver every time I think about you? Do you remember how I told you shortly before you left for this last trip that I was madly in love with you and wanted to be with you forever? Whenever I look at our girls, I see how much they respect and love you, because you are the best father any child can dream of. They love you as much as I do, and we're all happy to have you in our lives. Wow, I always cry when I think about my 2 girls. I love them more than all my possessions, and I can't wait to hug and kiss them again. I've never told you this, but all my friends are jealous of our relationship and how affectionately we still treat each other, even after all these 16 years of marriage. They all know how much we love each other and would like them to have the same thing in their own lives. There are several reasons for this letter, dear. First of all, I want to thank you for being you, for giving me the most wonderful 16 years of my life, for being a wonderful father to our children, for the wonderful lifestyle that you allowed us to experience, and most importantly, for all the love that you constantly pour out on me. The other reason is something that I feel I need to share. This is something that has been bothering me for the last 6 months. This is something I never expected, and unfortunately it has become an important part of my life. It doesn't sound very good. I'm not sure if I should read on, and definitely not until I fill my glass to calm down. It must be because of the jet lag. Zoe and the girls are my life. I can't believe I had bad thoughts. She probably joined a new club or started a new expensive hobby. Let's see what she needs to share. Everything you've just read is true, and I speak every word from the bottom of my heart. So what I'm about to tell you is the hardest thing I've ever done. No matter how much I love you and will never stop loving you, I have to confess something. I pray that you will understand and not be disappointed in me and not leave me because of this. I've had a lover for the last 6 months. I really shouldn't call him a lover because he's more of a good partner. I don't have any feelings or love for this man, but we have a loving relationship. What the hell? Is Zoe cheating on me? After all the love and affection, all the freedom, everything she's ever wanted, is she betraying her vows? Our love life was great. How could this happen? I feel like my heart is breaking into 1,000 pieces. No, Zoe would never have taken a lover, would she? I trusted her with all my heart and soul. How could she destroy everything we had achieved together? All these years ruined by a tasteless affair? She can't be that stupid. The reason I'm telling you this now is because of respect and a deep sense of guilt. I can't live with this guilt anymore. And I need you to know that I've been unfaithful, but only in a loving way. You'll never understand this, but I don't feel love for him, just a love attraction that I can't explain. He does things to me that I can't put into words, and no matter how hard I try, I can't stop. He has become my addiction and I need him in my life. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and I'm going to be completely honest. I respect you too much to lie or hurt you in any way, but I'm afraid that this confession probably caused you some pain, and so I can only hope that you can understand what I need. You've done more than just hurt, you fucking fool. Complete honesty? You've already lied to me. How can I trust you again? What have you done, Zoe? Please believe that I have done my best to keep this a secret from you and not let it affect our lives. And if you look back, I think you'll agree that you didn't see any difference in our relationship, and I know that we were both happy. Nothing has changed between us since it started, but I understand that it can't end soon, so it's only fair that you find out all about it. No secrets, baby. I love and respect you too much to ever do that. Please understand that my need for him is purely physical, and I will not allow my being with him to interfere with our love or intimacy. I just needed to let you know that there is another part of me that I gave to another man, but that part of me has nothing to do with my love for you and the importance of our family. Family is the most important part of my life and my #1 value. Nothing will change that. I know that reading this will be a shock, and it hurts to hear it, but I know what kind of person you are and how much you love me. Realizing this gave me the confidence and courage to confess my infidelity, because deep down I know that you will understand my needs and forgive me. Your patience and understanding are just 2 of the many things I love about you, honey. If you knew what type of man I am, you would never do this to me and the girls. You greatly underestimated me and just ended our marriage. You can forget about any forgiveness. No, the only thing you're going to get from me is revenge. Our girls stayed the night at your mom's, so don't worry about them. And they can't wait to see their dad in the morning. I'm with my friend tonight because I wanted to give you some time alone to read my letter and figure out how things will go from here. I'll be home around 10 p.m. and we can pick up where we left off as if nothing has changed, because nothing has changed, dear. I love you as much today as I did yesterday, and after we reunite tonight, I know that I will love you even more, if at all possible. I'll be all yours as soon as I get home, and you can make sweet love to your loving wife again. Just remember when you read this that you are the love of my life, and I am yours until death do us part. I'm yours, baby, and I'll give you anything you want or need. Thank you for being you and the best husband a girl can ever dream of. To love always and forever. Your devoted wife, Zoe. Jonathan. After finishing the letter, I realized that the glass of bourbon I was drinking had now become part of the next wall. I didn't remember even throwing a glass, let alone throwing it with such force that a few shards actually hit the wall. Obviously, my subconscious mind took over and brought me to a higher level of understanding. The ability to make quick decisions is what led me to success in business, and now I was acting out of habit. I took out a piece of paper and wrote a reply letter, sealed the envelope, on the front of which her name was clearly written, and put it on the table next to the envelope that was addressed to me. I put her letter in my pocket, took some luggage, and went up to the girls' room to pack clothes for a few days, as we had a short trip ahead of us. In the car, I called my supervisor and told him to prepare a corporate plane for a trip to San Francisco, where I was going to stay for the near future with my girls. By 6:30 that evening, I was in my Range Rover on my way to my mom and dad's house to pick up the girls. I have a corporate apartment next to my California office, where I have already stored a full set of clothes and everything necessary for a long stay. The apartment would be an ideal place until I talked to my lawyers and plan my immediate future. When I drove up to my parents' house, the girls ran out to greet me with a big smile on their faces and 100 kisses. They were happy to see me, and I felt like I was smiling for the first time since I got home. Dad's at home. We missed you, Daddy, and we didn't think we'd see you until tomorrow. Mom said you won't be back until tomorrow. She was supposed to meet her friend Jamie tonight, and we came here to see Grandma and Grandpa. I hugged and kissed them and felt tears flow down my face from all this love and the realization that their lives were about to change because of their mother's betrayal. Their warm embrace really calmed my soul, and it was at that moment that all my problems ceased to exist. Jamie's name did not escape my attention, and for a while I put it in my memory bank. After the girls calmed down, I told them that I had a surprise and that we were going on a trip for a few days, and they were going to fly on the company plane. I promised them a fun and exciting vacation. Convincing the girls was the easiest part. Explaining something to Mom and Dad is a completely different story. They clearly felt my pain and objected to me taking the girls away until I let them read the letter. I explained that I needed some time to get to a safe place to think and plan everything without letting my emotions get in the way. Then I explained that I had left a letter for Zoe and would call her from the plane. Finally, I promised that I would be back within 2 weeks, and that it was just a short trip, and that I would not worry about the girls, as they would be well taken care of. On the way to the private terminal, I called my new president and told him that I was going to be in the California office and that he should manage things on his own and contact me only in emergency cases. William, the reins of power for the next few weeks are in your hands. Let's see how you do without my advice. I'm sure you'll be fine and the staff will be happy to help you. I need some time to resolve a personal issue, so contact me only if absolutely necessary. You'll do a great job, and I know my company is in good hands. Make me proud of you, William. Don't worry, Mr. King. I'll fix it, and everything will be fine. Call me to get daily updates if you want. I know how hard it can be to put your child in someone else's hands. Let me know if you need anything while you're there. When we boarded the plane, the girls were running up and down the aisle of the 16-seat passenger plane and playing with the flight attendant, who adored girls. Jessica was one of our regular assistants, and over the past 2 years we have become good friends. Spending hours alone on flights can create friendships with the right people. It was 11 o'clock, and the girls were asleep. The lights in the cabin were dimmed, and the atmosphere was calm and relaxing. That's when I dialed the home number to talk to Zoe. Jonathan, where are you, honey? Zoe, listen carefully and don't interrupt, because I might lose touch at this altitude. I already know that you've read my letter, and you know that the girls are with me. They'll call you in the morning. I'll call you in the next few days to discuss everything. Call my mom and dad if you need anything in the meantime. Good night. I hung up before she could answer. The flight went smoothly, and we landed at 1 o'clock in the morning. I carried the girls to a waiting limo, and then sometime later I went up to my house. I put them to bed, kissed them, and 10 minutes later I fell asleep without even unpacking my things. We'll have plenty of time for that tomorrow. Zoe is coming home. I can't wait to see my wonderful husband. I crave his touch. These 2 weeks without him dragged on so slowly. Tonight I will be his perfect wife and turn his world upside down. My favorite part of his business trips is always his first night back home. His desire and love for me are amazing. When I entered the house, I noticed that the lights were off. I bet he's tired from his long trip. Honey, I'm home. Maybe he's in bed. I'll check. He's not there, and the phone is not answering, and there are no missed calls or text messages. It's weird. Let me check the patio. Maybe he's relaxing outside. On the way to the patio, I noticed an envelope on the table, and suddenly I had a bad feeling. It was addressed to me, right next to the one I had left for him earlier. I slowly picked it up and then nervously tore open the envelope. I wasn't sure what to expect, but before I had a chance to read his letter, my cell phone rang. It sounded loud in the silence. One glance at the screen showed that it was Jonathan, and I quickly answered his call. I barely had time to say hello before Jonathan told me to listen and not interrupt. He used what I called his working voice, commanding and impersonal. I listened, and with every word there was more pain in his voice. I wanted to interrupt him and tell him that I love him, but I decided to wait until he was done. I regretted that decision because he hung up on me. I knew it wasn't good. Things definitely weren't going the way I expected. For a moment or two, I felt like I was frozen in time. I was just standing there with my phone in one hand and the letter he was referring to in the other. Then suddenly my heart started beating faster again and I flinched, dropping my phone. It hit the tile floor with a thud, but I ignored it and turned my attention to the letter. My hands were shaking, and I could barely make out Jonathan's words through the tears that were streaming down my face. Dear Zoe, thank you for your letter and honesty. Yes, our 16 years together were the happiest years of my life. You gave me two special girls that I love with all my heart. The love we shared was special, and I'm not surprised to hear that our friends are jealous of our love and closeness, because you've always been the most important thing in my life. I was going to surprise you tonight and tell you how I made some changes at work that would give me a lot more time to be with you and the girls, but I was the one who got a big surprise by coming to an empty house. All I thought about on the day of my trip was the hugs and kisses of my girls and the romantic kisses of my amazing, beautiful wife. But for the first time in all the years that I traveled, I returned to an empty house. It's been a long, grueling trip, and I just wanted to come home and relax with you tonight. But unfortunately, I'm sitting here alone in my big empty house, a broken man. I was disappointed and saddened until I saw an envelope addressed to me on the table. I was hoping that the letter would contain some kind of surprise from you and the girls, and that you would all return home soon, but the letter was not at all what I expected. Yes, I loved you with all my heart, and as you wrote in your letter, I was madly in love with you and wanted to spend the rest of my life with you and our daughters and, perhaps in the future, with our grandchildren. I understand from your letter that you may have overestimated my understanding and forgiveness. As soon as I read your confession about your 6-month affair, you ended our marriage. In fact, the moment you showed any intimacy with your lover put an end to us as a married couple. We, or rather I, just didn't realize it until I read your letter. Tears began to flow from her eyes when she just realized that she may have ended their marriage. No, God, please, no. This couldn't be happening. Jonathan should have understood. Now Zoe was on her knees, sobbing, covering her face with her hands, realizing for the first time that she might have made a big mistake. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but I won't understand or accept your need for another man. I am happy that you have found someone who will satisfy your love needs and your special bond, but because of your infidelity, you have renounced your right to be my wife and the mother of my children. The girls are with me, and next week we're heading to my office in San Francisco. I need time away from you and our home to reflect on your confession and your actions. You can call the girls tomorrow afternoon, since we won't land until 1 o'clock in the morning, and they'll be tired from our trip. I need to be with my girls right now because they're the only thing keeping me sane. As you know, they're in good hands, so you don't have to worry. Now you'll have a lot of free time to be with your loved one while I figure things out. We have no reason to talk, so please don't call or text me, as I won't be answering your calls. Please call the girls and FaceTime as often as you like. I won't stop you from seeing them, and I won't let them know that their mother has traded their dad for another man. I'll let you do it when the time comes. He has to answer my call. He loves me. I have to make him understand that I only want him. I'll tell him it's over. I know he'll forgive me. Why doesn't he answer the phone? Damn it, Jonathan. Please talk to me. He needs to talk to me before he does something stupid. I know him, and I need to talk to him quickly and explain everything better. Your affair has caused me unfathomable pain, and I am puzzled that you would think that I would accept this and let you have an affair and break your wedding vows. You've ruined my whole world with that one letter, and it's going to take me a long time to forget about the love I've lost. I went from being the happiest person in the world, who had a plan to make us all even closer, to a broken, defeated person in a matter of minutes. The woman I loved turned me into an unwitting cuckold, humiliated me in a way I couldn't imagine in my wildest nightmares, and expected me to take her home. I'm sad and I just want to cry, but you know me, and I won't dwell on the past. I'll let you know when we get back. Jonathan. Zoe. With tears streaming uncontrollably. I sat there, completely shocked and devastated. Oh God. No, he can't do that. He can't leave me. It's all wrong, and that's not how he should have reacted. He always told me that he loved me and wanted me to be happy. How can he be so upset? I have to explain this better. Obviously, he didn't understand what I wrote and took it all wrong. I need to call Jamie. He knows what to do. Hi, Jamie. It's me. He left me and took the girls. What should I do? He should have talked to me and realized that our relationship meant nothing but love. He said he was leaving me, and I didn't know what to do, I said, crying into the phone. Zoe, stop crying. He's upset, but he'll come to his senses in a few days. It doesn't mean that you're leaving him or dating me. It's just a few hours of love that we share when he's at work. He won't want to leave you because of this. He will also think about the cost of breaking up with you, and this will help him understand that he needs to accept a new normal. Did you tell him how much you love him? Yes, of course. I explained everything in the letter and meant every word. He is the most important thing in my life, and I will die without him. How can he be so selfish and not understand? I needed him to be happy for me. What can I do here? It hurts so much. Just get some sleep and try to call him tomorrow, after he has a little time to digest what happened and how everything will go from there. I'll be home by noon tomorrow. Why don't you come over, and then we can talk about it? Get some sleep, Zoe. I barely slept that night, and when I finally gave up trying the next morning, shortly after noon, I immediately dialed Jonathan's number, but it rang once and then disconnected. This meant that he had blocked my number. Now I had no way of getting through to him. I'll call the girls, and they'll give the phone to their dad. Cassie answered the phone and was glad to hear from me, which lifted my spirits. Hi, Mommy. Hi, honey. Is your dad here? I need to talk to him. Mom, Dad said he doesn't want to talk to you and won't answer the phone if you call. What's going on, Mom? Dad seems really upset and different. It's okay. Moms and dads sometimes fight. Your father misunderstood some of what I did, got angry, and left. I need to explain this so that he doesn't get mad anymore. I'll ask him to talk to you again, Mom. Wait. I heard her talking to him, and I didn't like his answer. Mom, he said he'd call you when he was ready to talk. Are you going to be okay, Mom? Yeah. Don't worry, baby. Your dad and I are going to be fine. Just be good and call me. Okay? Kiss your dad for me, and give the phone to your sister. Jonathan. 13-year-old Jennifer and 15-year-old Cassie looked at me curiously after the call. Cassie, as the eldest, had a sad look. Did Mom cheat on you, Daddy? My heart broke when I heard her question. Fighting back tears, I just shook my head and told them to get dressed for dinner. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but I knew that with love and support they would handle the challenges ahead. Earlier that morning, before the girls got up, I called my family lawyer, who was on the East Coast and was already sitting at his desk. I've known George for 20 years, and we've been through a lot together. So I told him the story and what I wanted to happen without preamble. George, I need to know what a divorce will look like and how bad it will be. I want custody of the children, no matter what it takes. There is no reconciliation, counseling, or forgiveness. I want this to be over as soon as possible. There was silence on the other end of the line for a long moment. I understood and gave him a chance to digest the news. He was probably as surprised by my words as I was when I read Zoe's letter. Jonathan, I'm so sorry that this happened. Kate and I always thought you two were the perfect couple, and I can't figure out how she could do that, but I understand what you're asking. Do you remember when you and Roger started a company and he demanded that a prenuptial agreement be signed before agreeing to start a business with you? Do you remember how adamant he was about what happened to his last business and how his wife cheated on him? Well, your prenuptial agreement is drawn up and up to date, and if she is really having an affair, she renounces her rights to children and any financial benefits from marriage. Over the years, while your company was growing, I maintained a premarital relationship, worked with your corporate lawyers, and placed most of your property in trust, and you were a benefactor. A house, cars, bank accounts, and investments all fall under this trust that cannot be touched. This means that if she has violated the marriage contract, she leaves the marriage with what she entered into it with, and loses any rights to children. I know we didn't put all this together for that purpose, but it looks like everything will turn out in your favor. George, you're right. I would never have thought in a million years that she would cheat on me, and I completely forgot about the prenuptial agreement. But, George, all I have is a letter confessing to her infidelity. What else do we need? Well, her confession on video or tape would help, along with some photos or a confession from her lover. George, can you take care of this while I'm here in California with the girls? Money doesn't matter, and I want to get proof as soon as possible. I don't want this to drag on. There's a name that my girls mentioned, a guy named Jamie. The only Jamie I know is the tennis instructor at our country club. Can you negotiate with a private investigator and suggest that he start with this? I'm sure she'll contact her lover while I'm gone. PI report. Of course, Jamie, the tennis instructor, was my sworn enemy. They were careless, which made it easier for the private firm to complete the investigation. With my permission, they installed a tracker on Zoya's car, audio recording devices inside the car, and video cameras in our house. All the evidence obtained from these devices was legitimate due to the fact that my company controlled them through a trust. Over the next week, they had enough audio and video recordings, as well as her written confession, to move the case forward. I never watched or listened to any evidence, as I didn't want these images to haunt me for the rest of my life. Of course, Jamie turned out to be a womanizer, and he had to leave his last 2 jobs because he slept with other married women. He was much younger, in great shape, and all the ladies in the club were in love with him. Zoe was just one of the many wives he had an affair with at the club. Obviously, middle-aged married women are an easy target for this club professional. George called me 5 days after our first conversation to update me on the progress of the investigation. Jonathan, we have all the necessary evidence. What do you want us to do? Are you still going to divorce Zoe? Without hesitation, I replied, file the divorce papers with the utmost care. I want Zoe to feel some of the pain she caused me and realize how much she screwed up. I would like them to be served on Tuesday at 10 a.m. at our country club. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m., she has a tennis lesson with Jamie. Can we come up with something for him as well? I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's nothing more than an annoying lawsuit. Come up with something, because I want his name mentioned in the lawsuit. We can arrange this, and I will work from the point of view of professional tennis and get in touch with you. Perhaps we can get the club to hire a known predator. It probably won't lead anywhere, but everyone will know about this affair, which I suppose is what you want. When are you coming back? I plan to be at home and wait for her after she is notified on Tuesday. I'll make sure to be home before she gets home. Are you sure you're going to divorce her, Jonathan? As we say now, definitely. However, I have to think about the girls and talk to her before signing the papers. It's hard, George, and I hope you never have to go through anything like this. I love this woman with all my heart, and I just can't stop this love. I also hate what she did to me and the girls, and I will never be able to forgive that. Whatever you decide, I'm here to help, Jonathan. Stay in touch, and we'll let you know as soon as she's notified. We arrived home on Tuesday morning, around 9 a.m., and the girls were happy to return home. I told them that after their mom gets back from tennis lesson, I would like them to stay in their rooms while their mom and I sort things out. I could tell they were upset and worried, and I tried my best to let them know that everything would work out. Tuesday, Zoe. It was a warm summer day, and the tennis dress I was wearing was short and beautiful. It showed off my toned legs, and Jamie smiled when he saw his concubine enter his office. After we exchanged warm hugs and were about to start the lesson, a girl in short cut-off jeans and a cropped shirt ran out onto the playground, bouncing. "Hi, can we help you with something?" Jamie asked, smiling at the cute girl. "Yes, are you Jamie Connors?" "That's right. Who are you?" "Well, I'm your worst nightmare today." "You've been notified," she said, handing him an envelope. He opened it when I went over to see what it was. He looked at it and said, "Damn, I'm in a lawsuit against the club for harassment." "What the fuck? Who did this?" The young girl was still standing next to Jamie when she asked me, "I'm sorry, miss. Are you Zoe King?" "Yes," I replied, surprised. "This is for you. You've been notified." When I saw the divorce decree, I fell on my knees and cried. This can't be happening. He's divorcing me. He didn't even give me a chance to explain myself. How can he do this to me after all these years? Oh my God. He knows how much I love him. So why would he do that? As I knelt sobbing on the hard clay court, I felt the curious stares of the other participants on me. It's horrible. I can only imagine what they're thinking. How could it all go so wrong? I could tell Jamie was angry as he paced back and forth on the court, glaring at the legal documents, when he looked at me and said, "Zoe, you need to go home, and I need to go to the club to see if they've been notified that well. I need to figure this out, and you need to go home and contact your husband. Let's see if you can stop him from ruining our lives. Please go away." Wiping the tears from my cheeks, I got up, ran to my car, and tried to take control of my emotions. But as soon as I was inside and away from prying eyes, the tears returned and I sobbed uncontrollably. I drove back to the house, scared and upset. When I got there, the girls ran out to greet me, which made me forget about my problems for a moment. "Where is your dad?" "He's inside." I ran into the house, and the second I saw him, I tried to throw myself into his arms. All I wanted to do was hug him and tell him how much I love him, but he didn't want anything to do with me. He held out his hand, preventing me from approaching. His refusal gutted me, and for the second time in the last hour, I fell to my knees when the tears returned. "Honey, please don't do this. You know how much I love you, and I need you. I've missed you so much. Please don't push me away." "Zoe, I see you have the divorce papers. We're not a couple anymore, and we're getting divorced soon. You should have known it was over the moment you shared yourself with Jamie." "Zoe, I'm not sharing with anyone. It all depends on you. So please be an adult and take responsibility for your actions. If you've read the divorce agreement, you already know that you'll need to move out and find a place to live. The girls will stay with me, and you will have unlimited visitation rights unless you make me angry." The moment I read your letter and found out how treacherous you were, I took decisive action. Because you violated the prenuptial agreement that you signed before we got married. You renounced your rights to children and any financial assistance. Jonathan, you did all this without even giving me a chance to explain, and it's not fair. Obviously, I explained it incorrectly in the letter, and I'm very sorry about that, but give me a chance, please. Good. Go on. Please explain this so that I can understand what you did. Dear, in the letter I wanted you to know how much I love you and would never leave you. You and the girls mean more to me than anything else in the world, and I would never do anything to hurt any of you. I wanted you to know that I'm ready to die for you, and I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Your love for me is amazing, and I appreciate you more than you can ever imagine. So, you can't just kick me out and divorce me. You have to understand that it was just something physical that I needed. You've always given me everything I wanted or needed. Why should it be any different this time? Well, I really understand that you believe that you love me and you want us to stay together. You say you would never do anything to hurt me, and yet you brought another man into our marriage. How could it do anything but hurt me? There is no place for a third person in my married life. I'm totally intolerant of infidelity, and that's what you did. You became an unfaithful wife, committed adultery towards me and our marriage. She violated our wedding vows, our marriage contract, and humiliated me and your children. And I will never forgive you for that. You decided to make love to a man outside of our marriage, and for that you will face the consequences. Our choices always have consequences, and I think you made a bad choice this time. Why don't you subscribe to me? I don't love him. You're the man I love. Can't you understand that? Why are you acting like this? I yelled at him in desperation. His expression didn't change, so I repeated it to myself. I love you, not him. What the hell is wrong with you, Zoe? You made me an unwitting cuckold and humiliated me. It's not love, it's contempt. You gave up your marriage and children for a man who is a notorious womanizer and who is currently sleeping with Barbara Weiss, Chloe Thomas, and 2 other women at the club. You're a stupid fool. Did you really think you were his only girlfriend? Besides, have you thought about your future after he breaks up with you in a few months? Everyone will know that you are a cheating fool, and the only men who want you will be looking for love. And at your age, you are no longer suitable for marriage. I see a long, lonely future for you, Zoe. You really haven't thought this through. Someday you may understand what you've done and what kind of life you've chosen. And now you need to leave. I'll ask my driver to take you wherever you want, but you're no longer welcome in my house. Do you want me to just leave? This is my house too. I want to stay here, honey. I'm going to stop seeing him. It was a mistake. We can just forget about it and get things back to normal if you just give me a chance. But don't kick me out. Well, it's not your house. The house is in trust, and you are not a part of it. The car is also part of the trust, and it stays here too. You have $3,000 in your checking account. That's what you had when we got married, and nothing else. And no, we can't go back to what happened until you figure out a way to stop using yourself. I will never touch you again after you defiled yourself with that asshole. Part of the divorce agreement requires that you return your maiden name and no longer use mine. You will have unlimited access to the girls, but they will live here with me. You gave up everything the moment you started using your boy toy. How are you doing with this right now, Zoe? Was this special chemistry and satisfaction worth losing everything because of it? I hope that the realization of what you've lost keeps you awake every night, and that you feel the pain you caused me, and it will stay with you for years to come. Yes, I loved you more than life itself, but I will not live with a cheating wife. You can spin your story any way you want, but the bottom line is that you took a lover outside of our marriage, and that was the end of our 16 wonderful years. Zoe, still lying on the floor, was depressed. Her world was falling apart around her, and up to this point she always got everything she wanted, and never expected Jonathan to react the way he reacted. She really thought that he would understand and support her in this short relationship if it would make her happy. Zoe realized that she completely misunderstood her husband, followed the terrible advice of that predator Jamie, lost her family and ruined her wonderful marriage that lasted 16 years. Jonathan looked at Zoe, holding back tears over the loss of his happy life and the love he carried in his heart. His love was replaced by loss and sadness because of her selfishness and actions. He knew that the pain and sadness that overwhelmed him would last for a long time, but he also knew that there was no turning back from her infidelity and contempt. Effects. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Since Zoe was still the mother of my 2 girls, I paid for the first 3 months for a small, furnished 2-bedroom apartment that was close to our house and club. I also bought a 3-year-old Toyota Camry for her to drive. I knew I didn't have to give her anything, but I needed my kids to be able to see their mom whenever they wanted. Yes, the Lamborghini and the rich lifestyle are now a thing of the past. She gave up everything for some loser tennis player she'd never see again. Being a nice guy like me, I even got her a job at a country club. Yes, the country club was happy to help as soon as I withdrew my claim. They agreed to get rid of Jamie and help Zoe get a job if I dropped the lawsuit. Zoe is no longer a member of the country club, but is now one of the waitresses at the club, which helps her pay the bills. Since she had no experience or training for any other job, her only option was to get a job as a waitress at a club. I'm sure she felt humiliated when she turned from one of the famous members of the club into one of their waitresses. There were no more expensive shopping trips or weekends with the girls. All the money she earned at the club was supposed to go towards paying rent, insurance, and meals. She had never had to worry about bills or budgets in her entire life, but suddenly she was on her own. The realization of what she had done and what she had given up came crashing down on her like a ton of bricks. I didn't need her to admit it. I saw it on her face every time I saw her. Of course, Jamie had dumped Zoe as soon as the lawsuit began, in an attempt to keep her job, so now she had no one to go home to. The girls told me that their mother cried every night because of love and lifestyle, which she gave up in order to satisfy some selfish needs. It took all this for her to realize what she had done and how stupid she had been to think that her husband would accept her selfish desires. I was sad about how things turned out, and I told the girls that I still loved their mom and that they should love and forgive her. They stayed close and saw my mom on weekends. Later that year, when she was picking up the girls, we had our first friendly conversation. She told me that she finally realized what she had done and begged me to forgive her for her actions. Jonathan, I know we won't be together anymore, and you'll never be able to trust me again, but I wanted to apologize and beg you to forgive me. Now I understand what I did and how much I hurt you. My life was completely different, and I was a spoiled woman who didn't give a damn about the whole world. At that time, I felt justified in my actions and did not even think about how you would react. Now I know what I've done and what I've put you through, and I'm so sorry. If there was a way to take it all back, I would have done it in a second. Losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and I miss you and your love so much that it hurts. I've matured over the last year, And when I look back, I can't believe I was so stupid and gave up everything because of my selfish, righteous attitude. I'm so sorry that I ruined everything, and I beg you to find the strength to forgive me. I will always love you, Jonathan, and I want you to know that you were the perfect husband. Her confession was sincere, and I knew that in time I might be able to forgive her. I would never stop loving her. She was my life, and I've loved her for so many years. That kind of love can't just be turned off. Zoe was still a beautiful woman, and I was sure it wouldn't be long before someone would take her home and she would start a new life. I hoped she had learned her lesson and would remain faithful when that happened. They fired Jamie from the club, and eventually he moved to South Carolina, where a small club on Hilton Head arranged for him to be an assistant to a professional tennis player. It only took him a month before he went back to his old tricks and started courting married women. However, boys in South Carolina are a little less forgiving than in the big city. When he was caught with the wife of one of the good guys, it didn't end well. A month later, a local newspaper reported an alligator attack on a golf course over the weekend, and photos showed a hand in the mouth of one of the 17-foot alligators. Poor Jamie must have gone for a run to the lake and was accidentally caught by one of these alligators. Finally, Jamie stopped being a predator and turned into prey. During one of my lonely nights, when I was reflecting on our happy family times, I read a passage that made me think. The biggest mistake a man makes is to give another man the opportunity to make his woman smile. I will never make that mistake again. End.